Thanks for listening to Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast, keeping you up to date with the latest in American soccer. And don't forget to subscribe.
Hello, episode 200 of Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast. Welcome, everyone, at Uncle Sam's Soccer Pod. Hit that subscribe button, leave us a 5-star review, and send in your questions. Also, follow us on Twitter at Uncle Sam's Soccer Pod. You got Justin Sosa, Jake Watroba, and myself, Steven Jodrand. Fellas, it's been a little bit. Lots is going on, but let's just begin with the big news here. This is episode 200. Justin, you are a very new addition, so I don't know what episode this is for you. What, episode 5, 6, 7, maybe?
Probably along those lines, yeah.
Jake, you've been, it's been a journey. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I think it's been about 150 so episodes, I want to say. 140, 150, somewhere in that ballpark.
This is the first episode we're going to say there's a warning for language, and what's the proper terminology? We
listener discretion advised.
There we go. Okay. So if you're rolling around with the kids in the car, you might either put this on pause, listen back later, or maybe just skip the section. And we're gonna start off with some easy stuff. Let's go back to when Armand used to do the intro, Jake.
For today's episode, we talk about Austin FC, and me, Steven, and Jake, and our guest. I forgot our guest's name.
That's a good one right there. Classic.
How many times did we had to stop Armand when he said, "Welcome to Uncle Sam's American Soccer Podcast"? And I'm like, bro, you made up the name. You thought you were the one who coined Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast, and you don't even know the damn name of the show.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God. Oh, I forgot about that. Man, I wish I had that on tape. I don't know how many times we've had to tell him it's Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast. Armand. Wow. Yes. Yeah. I mean, we've had some great guests on the show, too. I mean, all types of guests. I think the best thing is that Jake's first episode was when we were doing an interview with Fox Sports' announcer, broadcaster, Rob Stone.
I was in my car, basically in the parking lot at work, and that was like the first ever show I'd ever done with Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast. It was kind of like, hey, Armand can't make it. Can you help us out? And I'm like, yeah, I got you guys, but I'm at work, so this is gonna be done in my car. It's maybe January or February, Minnesota, so it's freezing. I don't have my car on. I'm shivering in the parking lot. First ever interview I'd ever done in my life, and I was a little nervous for that one.
Yeah, you definitely stumbled over the first question.
But it wasn't as bad as the time where I was asking Alexi Lawless a question, and I proceeded to choke on my own saliva. and in that one, I actually fanboyed out because it was Alexi Lawless. It was like, oh, this is an all-time great, as it relates to soccer in this country. And here I am. You ever get it when your spit goes down like your windpipe, and you just start coughing and you're hacking and all that. That's what happened to me with Lawless, and I had I'm sorry, doing that the whole time, and not my proudest moment, I will say, on this show.
That's that, Justin. When you spoke with Hartford Athletic owner Bruce Mandel on the previous episode, you got a little bit nervous. We're not going to lie here.
Yeah, no, I was really nervous. I've interviewed people before, but just not to be recorded and then heard for other people to hear. But yeah, I was texting you before we actually recorded that episode, like scared out of my mind that I was going to just. You
were also flying solo. You were flying solo for it. You didn't have me or Steven to really lean on it as it related to questions.
Yeah, because I'm self-conscious as it is about my voice, like sounding too dreary, and so as soon as I kind of realized I was the one that kind of had to, I guess, keep momentum going for the episode, whether it be with questions or discussion. I don't know. I felt like my voice was just gonna sound horrible in the recording, but it wasn't too bad afterwards.
Yeah, let's pull out some other good archives. Here's another classic Armand.
Now Zlatan's getting balls that are actually nice.
I think that one made the cut.
I think that one actually did make the cut, but man.
Oh yeah, that's. I mean, Justin, I don't think you've heard this one.
Listeners, we'll talk more about the matchup with France Friday morning as we get you ready for the U.S. Women's National Team versus La Bleus. But real quickly, what?
It's Les Bleus.
I don't speak French, Stephen. This is an American podcast.
Oh my goodness,
this isn't American. We speak English in this podcast. We don't dabble in French. Okay, I'm sorry. Here's the thing: you actually speak French, Stephen, and you let me.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, I don't know that. I mean, come on, that'd be like you trying to speak Portuguese. I'm sure Justin would be like, "What are you?
Well,
what's going on here?"
I don't know Justin. Name already.
I don't know if Justin even knows how to speak Portuguese. I'm just assuming he does know how to speak Portuguese.
I'm gonna let you assume that I do.
All right, perfect.
Okay, there you go. we'll give that. Here's another good one.
Fast-paced, shifty movement, brilliant skill. It's the counterattack with Jake Wetruba.
Holy fucking shit! All you gotta do is play. I don't even remember the context of that, but I sounded pissed, huh?
It just I don't remember where that one came from. I really don't.
But you have it saved for a reason.
I have it saved for a reason. We got two more here.
It's for Armand too, so we'll definitely have to check that out.
Definitely got to
at
go
some
down.
point.
Go down, drink a beer, enjoy the fans.
Yeah. You gotta play my all-time favorite. You gotta play the all-time favorite.
Episode 200. Here we go. We're pulling out our favorite moment on Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast that we've had that has never made air until this very moment.
Today.
How much snow did you get?
I don't know. I really don't know. 3, 4, 5 inches. I don't know.
That's nice. That's... Very nice.
Hit him with the Borat.
Hey, so do I get the over or the under in that one?
You hit the over, no worries. Oh shit! Did you purposely do that? Oh,
you win. You get the over.
I'm a funny guy, my guy.
I wasn't expecting that. Fucking crying.
Oh man. Oh.
There it is. We kind of peeled back the curtain there a little bit.
Jake, that moment. If you listen to the recording, Jake awkwardly doesn't laugh, and then suddenly it's an explosion of laughter because you thought we're just gonna roll right through this. We're just gonna.
Sometimes you mute your mic. It's like so you can laugh or say something when you're recording these shows. And I muted my mic, I'm sure, to laugh, and then I heard you gut laugh, and at that point I realized it's game over. That's not making a show. We can finally laugh about it. So,
Justin, there'll be moments like that for sure. Listeners, episode 200. We just want to say a big thank you. Without you guys, we wouldn't be continuing recording. We're so happy Justin's part of the team, and let's kick off episode 200. And fellas, there's a lot of sports going on, right? And it seems to be almost on steroids. Tour de France, 6 days after Champions League final, where Bayern Munich beat PSG 1-0.
Tour de France. Of course, you would mention the Tour de France.
What's wrong with the Tour de France?
You're the only person recording / listening to this show that gives a damn about the Tour de France.
Shut up. Anyway, the Community Shield takes place between Arsenal and Liverpool 6 days after the Champions League final. Europe's ready to kick off gear. You got the Nations League coming up. You got the NFL just around the corner. Obviously, the NBA, MLB, MLS, NHL, Liga MX are all underway. What I do want to say is, man, there's almost too much sports on the TV right now that I can't keep track of it all.
No, you're right. When everything is jammed into one small window, I guess, if you will, it's hard to focus on it, you know? Like, this time of the year for me is just soccer and baseball. I don't have the NBA and NHL typically at my disposal, August, September. You know, that's baseball and soccer time. Yeah, I guess, and the NFL in that case too, with September. So there's a lot of sports competing for my eyeballs. And Stephen, I know that's the same for you. Now, Justin, I know you are more of just a soccer guy. You don't dabble in the other leagues. Maybe this kind of misses you a little bit. 'Cause I don't believe your attention's really focused on the NBA right now or the NHL. I know you don't care for baseball particularly, and you in a text you had asked earlier this week of the Colts, they play in Indianapolis, right? So that's how I know how much of an NFL guy you are.
Well, yeah, because I don't follow the NFL. I also know that there's the Broncos and the Colts, and I was like, well, they're both relevant to horses. I just don't remember which cities they play in. But yeah, I mean, as far as the NBA goes, I mean, I'm a casual Sixers fan, and they're getting absolutely beat by Boston. So I was like, the casualty can stop this season. But the Golden Knights are 3-1 up on the Canucks in their series, so that's kind of sick.
Did you have to look that up?
I did catch last night's game.
I think I see on my monitor. Did you have to look that up to make sure you knew what the series?
No. I now have two screens, so I'm looking sideways, but I'm looking at you guys.
Okay, fair enough.
Now I'm looking at my laptop.
Fair enough. More importantly, this damages MLS's opportunity, right? They had it with MLS's back. Now, with everything else going on, the return of European soccer, and then you have international soccer on top of that. It seems like MLS kind of the sport or the league somewhat forgotten here.
Yeah, I think the same problem from the Orlando tournament kind of hit MLS's quote-unquote regular season, in the fact that, and we've complained about this too, that, MLS is, in terms of marketing, is just not there.
Justin, you can be a little more critical than that.
I mean, in comparison to the other major league sports, they just don't advertise their games or their seasons or even rivalry weeks as well as the NFL would or the MLB or NHL or what have you. They didn't do that with the Orlando tournament, and they failed to do it with the regular season now. And I mean, they're suffering consequences, which I think anybody who was paying attention could have been this isn't really too much of a surprise.
It almost feels like, as it relates to the Orlando tournament, that MLS just kind of went with, we're the only thing on TV, so what else are you gonna watch? We don't need to advertise anything, and I think that bit them in the ass a little bit. To me, and this has always been my thing, and as it relates to MLS, is the marketing side. I mean, whether it's marketing the games or whether it's marketing a brand or a team. I mean, look at a month ago, or not even a month ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, the three of us were complaining about St. Louis City FC or SC or whatever the hell we're calling them. We were talking about how poor branding that is, or Charlotte, or whoever it may be, and that MLS.
I forgot. I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot about that.
It just seems like MLS has its head up its ass and doesn't know what. It's almost like, well, we're the only major league, I'm using quotes here, major league soccer league in this country, so therefore you should pay attention to us. Well, newsflash, you're not the NFL. There are other leagues on this continent and on this planet that are, A, in terms of quality, better than you, and B, that are also drawing more eyeballs. So you need to do something or figure out something to market your product, whether it's your players or the clubs, to make yourself more attractable and put yourself out there. Because let's face it, when you're competing against the NBA, when you're competing against Major League Baseball and the National Hockey League, no one's watching and no one's going to watch. And nobody has any reason to talk about you because no one knows who the hell your players are.
In terms of like player names and households, they're getting a little bit better in that respect. But I agree 100% when it comes to like if an MLS game is on in comparison to another major league sport, depending on who's playing, I would think for most other major leagues, whatever, if they're competing for like a time slot with MLS, most casual American sports fans are going to go with a different sport other than soccer.
See, I saw on ESPN FC on their YouTube, on their YouTube channel, and they were talking about what La Liga is going to do without Messi and how Barcelona and La Liga is about to lose its biggest traction. And we don't often think about it because MLS is competing against the NBA, the NHL, the NFL. We don't often put our thinking caps on, realize that MLS is also competing, and we do say this, but for some reason it still feels like apples and oranges. Just like La Liga is competing with the Premiership, Serie A, the German Bundesliga, Ligue 1 to a lesser extent, MLS is competing on almost two different uneven playing fields. One in the American domestic sports world, arguably the biggest there is in the world, right? I mean, we talk about the best athletes. I
don't think it is arguable. I think it is. I think this is the biggest sports marketplace in the world. And I'm going to take your what you're saying one step further. They're also competing against Ligue MX. This is my thing with MLS. You can't be king of the world unless, be king of your region, be king of your continent. And right now, there's more eyeballs focused on what's going on in Mexico than there is as it relates to what's going on in the States.
Not until 2026.
Well, that's a different episode there, Stephen. We can talk about a Ligue MX MLS merger, which I'm for. Do it. I think that's a great idea. And you can send your hate mail at Jake Watroba. Just tell me why it's a bad idea that MLS would merge with Ligue MX. I think it's the best thing for the game in this country.
Jake, don't take us down that road. We're going
to do it. We're going to do it. Send in your hate mail. We can talk about it on Twitter. We don't need to talk about it on this episode. But be bigger than Ligue MX. It's one thing to compete against the NFL or the NBA. You can't compete with the Premier League or La Liga if you can't compete against Ligue MX. It doesn't matter.
Justin, to push this further, if Christian Pulisic, which I have a theory that Christian Pulisic will either go to Barcelona or Real Madrid in the next 4 or 5 years. And I said this before Christian Pulisic dragged Chelsea into the Champions League and into the FA Cup final. If Christian Pulisic makes that move, it signifies that MLS will never, ever have the top U.S. men's national team player because the precedent has been set, and we'll get to Weston McKennie, hopefully on this episode, if not the next, has been set that we want our American players who are young, who are bright, who are talented to play at the world's elitist clubs. And that is great if you're the U.S. soccer fan. That is not what you want as an MLS owner, fan, pundit, analyst, front office, executive.
My thing with MLS is I think with what they're going for in terms of being a selling league, they don't mind not having the Christian Pulisics and the Gio Reynas playing here. Like, I think they're fine with a player like Josie Altidore, who's had his time with the national team. And I mean, is still, if he's healthy, a relatively big part of the national team and everything, playing with Toronto. But I think they're really trying to mirror what the Bundesliga is doing in terms of like playing attractive soccer, but also having these players that are really exciting to watch.
Yeah.
Majority being young, but at the same time, they have older players who have been there for a while, like the Lewandowskis and the Mullers of the league.
But Justin, I get your point, and that's completely fair, and there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is MLS, to me, this is my personal opinion, still misses the star player between the age of 26 and 30 that is absolutely the best. The Bundesliga is a fair comparison if you're comparing it to the mid-table clubs, if not the bottom clubs. Like, to compare MLS to the Bundesliga when you got Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund, who Dortmund were in the Champions League final 7 years ago. Bayern Munich just won the Champions League. They're the king of the continent. They just won the treble. I think the better argument is not MLS should want young U.S. men's national team players to play in MLS at an early age and then sell them off. Then you have the players forever tied, just like Alphonso Davies is forever tied with the Vancouver Whitecaps. Whatever
let me cut you off here. In Justin's defense here, Steven, I think you may be seeing that actually.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Reggie Cannon going to Boa Vista. Did I say that correct? Is Boa Vista is at the Portuguese club, and then you also, Zach Steffen going to Man City.
Weston McKennie's tied with FC Dallas.
Kind of. You had Chris Richards, who was in the FC Dallas Academy, going to Bayern Munich. Granted, he hasn't made. I don't believe he's made an appearance with the senior national team. Correct me if I'm wrong there. One of you two might know better. But I think you are seeing that, and you even saw DeAndre Yedlin leaving Seattle Sounders for Tottenham 5, 6, 7 years ago, whenever that was. So I don't think that there isn't a precedence here where we get these men's national team players coming into MLS and they just stay in MLS. I think the crown jewel of that example might be Jordan Morris, i.e., I got a puppy, I got to stay in Seattle. But I do think there are men's national team players that come into MLS and then they do get sold off to European clubs. I don't think it's just you're in MLS, you're stuck in MLS.
My thing is I'm waiting for, because the Bundesliga is able to balance the development
You're waiting
side.
for a mass sell-off where you just see every window.
Yes,
three,
ideally
four
that's what I want.
Just we have this one player in MLS that goes off to Europe. Like we had
that's
this
the thing. It's like
window with Reggie Cannon.
Right. It's one player, and to me that's not enough. And fine, you want to say it's a slow process, fine. But until then, I think MLS is still behind.
You gotta crawl before you walk. You gotta crawl before you walk.
Fine, but how long have we seen MLS crawl?
Here's the thing,
or be told that they crawl?
Let's take this. I don't know the exact year DeAndre Yedlin was sold from Sounders to Tottenham, but I feel like every window now we are now seeing at least one U.S. men's national team player making the jump to Europe. I mean, I just saw a rumor a couple of days ago where it was linking Paxton Pomykal to AC Milan. That could be something that happens in December or January.
Like, yeah, I mean, I think the other thing is, like, there are – my thing, too, is with MLS being, like, in its year schedule and not, like, starting at the end of one year, beginning at the other, like, these young players are obviously really, really good, and they're breaking into MLS first teams because they're part of, like, the best players in those teams. I just feel like MLS teams are – this isn't, like, a big solution to this problem, but, like, I feel like they're less reliant to let those kids go midway through the season when they don't have players to come in and fill that void, like in the middle of the summer, and they still have another 6 months of games to play. And then as far as like players like Jordan Morris not leaving MLS, I mean, like, I think those are the types of players that, like, if they went to Europe, those are the players that you're really unsure about hitting the mark in Europe. Like, they're clearly good enough to do well in this league, and they're potentially going to be superstars in this league, like a Darlington Nagbe, so to speak. But you're still not 100% sure how they're going to do in Europe. And I mean, I personally will hold nothing against Jordan Morris as a player if he never goes to Europe. I would absolutely love it if he stayed in MLS and I got to watch him play.
You're a fraud.
How?
Because you don't agree with me. That's
what I'm saying. Like,
he's my whipping boy. All right. In terms of I just love to beat up on Jordan Morris and the whole puppy thing. So,
I mean, that's fair. But like players like Morris and players like Mueller and Miles Robinson and Darlington Nagbe's an older generation player, but still players like him who come out of college maybe and just really kick off in MLS and start to really develop as players throughout each season when they become pros. Like, those are the players who I feel like make the league more exciting because they are American and you see them have genuine talent, but they don't necessarily have to go to Europe to prove that they're talented. They can stay here.
Yeah. I don't, there's nothing wrong with that, but I also think MLS front offices are hindering player movements. What about Aaron Long, right?
Justin's a big Red Bull guy. He can speak to the Aaron Long situation.
Yeah, I mean, the Aaron Long situation I was pissed about too, because it would have been cool to see him go to Europe. Maybe not West Ham like he was supposed to, because they're not doing so hot right now.
Would have looked great at Reading. Would have looked great at Reading.
I mean, but like you saw what happened with Matt Miazga when he left the Red Bulls and went to Chelsea, and now he's on endless loans. I mean, it happens to every kind of
Chelsea
young player
player
that Chelsea picks up that doesn't immediately go into the first team. But like, I didn't want to see that for him. I wanted to see him go to a club, and whether he have to share time on the bench or in the starting lineup, I just wanted him to be at one club to have the opportunity to prove himself. And it didn't feel like West Ham was going to provide that. So in that regard, I'm happy they didn't sell him. But I'm also kind of upset with the way that MLS just did not allow him.
But that's one example. Then you have Luciano Acosta when he was with DC United. PSG went in on him, and they wanted more money. And I think
there was a $2 million difference, Steven, when that was all said and done. I think PSG offered like $10 million, and I think DC United wanted 12, if I remember correctly.
Whatever.
I think that was last summer. Yeah, it was in terms of dollar and cents on the transfer market. What's $2 million?
You're moving players. MLS doesn't have a foundation. They don't have skin in the game to say we demand more, because a lot of this is still unknown. The league's been around for 25 bleeping years. MLS sometimes carries itself like they've been around for hundreds of years, and it's a problem. It hinders players' growth. And if you look at those two transactions, those failed transactions by the Red Bulls and DC United, if you're a player, I don't know if the club has my best interest. Now, on the flip side, they'll look at the Vancouver Whitecaps, and wow, maybe they do have my best interest in here. FC Dallas is probably a good example. I think they do have, more so than not, the interest of the players when it comes to moving them abroad. They can now point to Reggie Cannon, Paxton Pomykal when that happens, Chris Richards, Weston McKennie. Like, they can literally just point through all these players. But it's give and take. I think it really depends on which club you're talking about. With that, as we've blown all our time on, Justin's MLS recap from the weekend. We got to come up with a more clever name than that. Yeah, Jake, give us the side effects.
Yeah. Justin's MLS recap. There's an echo in the background there.
There you go.
Yeah, so I mean, as far as a weekend for young Americans, I mean, it was great. All of Twitter kind of blew up about it. We had goals from Busio, Bassett, Omir Fernandez, Chris Mueller, Brendan Aronson, Keaton Parks, Jesus Ferreira, Caden Cowell, and Jordan Morris. First start for Ricardo Pepi from Dallas, and a debut for Moses Nyman for DC United. Then we had Orlando, quote unquote, upset Atlanta. If you want to call it an upset, I'm putting quotes around it.
Yes, because I think that was the first time they beat Atlanta ever, isn't it?
Yeah, and in Atlanta too, which is
that's an upset. Crazy. I think that's an upset. I don't think you need to quote unquote it. I think that's just an upset.
Yeah, in front of all those fans, right? Jake. Such a tough place to play in front of all those.
I get it. Atlanta didn't even qualify out of the group. I get it. They look like dog bleep in Orlando. I'm still saying it's an upset. And they don't have a head coach. I don't even know who the hell the Orlando's coach is at this point. It's still an upset.
You mean Orlando's his coach, Oscar Pereira. You don't know Atlanta's coach.
I don't know Atlanta's coach. Frank DeBoer is no longer there. I don't know.
Glasses, Jake.
I don't know who I'm gonna dump on anymore as an MLS. I gotta figure that out. I'm like, I feel lost right now, guys. You're gonna have to help me out. I'm stuck in the woods. It's dark. Frank DeBoer's gone. I need help.
Well, I can gladly introduce you to DC United, who, in my opinion,
Ben Olsen. I know that guy. That guy sucks.
Absolutely horrendous. Philly smashed them 4-1. Is it time for DC to hit the panic button?
Yes.
I agree 100%. I think the guy's just, I mean,
sucks.
Yeah.
You can say sucks. It's okay.
Yeah,
but seriously, without Wayne Rooney, this guy would have been gone like 2 seasons ago.
Okay, would he have been gone, or would DC United have been substantially worse and him still be employed? Because I don't think.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Because at this point, DC does not seem to want to move on. From him.
And I just think it's. I mean, we've had conversations about the ambitions of clubs and whether they're willing to fire coaches or not. But like, I just think even for a team that's not fighting in a relegation promotion league, like 10 years, I probably more of this guy, like just putting out mediocre results and finishes. I don't know. For a team with
why was Wayne Rooney that good then? Because it seems like was it just the right concoction of players and Ben Olsen's system maybe works if he has the talent, or is it that Ben Olsen is really not good? Wayne Rooney is just really good. He knows soccer, so he probably implemented some of Wayne Rooney's tactics into the game. He got the players to buy in, and the next thing you know, they started to string some wins, and they're in the playoffs, and then boom.
I think the high they got when Wayne Rooney kind of came into the team is something you see with like other teams when they get a new head coach, is like they just get this newfound confidence, and like they're suddenly playing with this different free flowing energy, and like Wayne Rooney brought just a different mentality to that team, and he's in England great, so I would imagine he helped the confidence in that locker room a lot when he came in. They still had Lucho Acosta there too, which was beneficial for them, but now they don't really have a star name to kind of bail them out. But moving on, LA Galaxy come from behind to beat San Jose in the Cali Clasico.
Wait, but that's what's really interesting. The Galaxy also beat LAFC, and LAFC is still the Galaxy's bitch, if you ask me.
I think LA Galaxy have proven they are still the best soccer team in California. So
wait, wait. Say that again.
LA Galaxy have proven they are the best team in California this year.
Wow.
Whoa. Let's be okay. Let's not forget, before the LAFC win, they were winless. Okay. Now, granted, I slept. I took a nap during the Galaxy LA. I took a nap during El Tráfico. It was a great nap. I'm not sure if the game was great, but the nap was. What makes you say the Galaxy are the best team in California? Are you saying because they've won the most trophies, or are you saying because you've seen?
I'm solely saying that because they have beaten San Jose and LAFC in the regular season. There's literally no context behind this. I am just saying
the numbers,
you're not saying the best
results.
In California because they look to be the best team in MLS or whatever it may be. You're just saying because beat LAFC.
No. LAFC, I think objectively has a more talented team.
I just wanted to dig you out of the hole because
as of right now, going head to head with other California
Justin
teams.
Sosa, listeners, at Justin Sosa, you heard it here.
99.
The Galaxy are the
99.
best team in California. At Justin Sosa for all your reaction.
Our Orange County fans are going to be very upset I said that. But moving on. RSL were down 4-2 to Portland, and they came back and tied 4-4. I think both of their goals came like after the 85th minute, and their fourth one saw Corey Baird dribble past Diego Chara and Christian Paredes as if they were traffic cones, which I thought was insane.
But what happened to, wait. I got to pick on you for this. What happened to, Portland wins MLS is back, right? And then they allow not
MLS Cup. He said MLS is back on MLS Cup. There's a big difference there.
Did I say Cup?
Yeah, I said MLS is back.
Yeah. What did you say, Steven?
I thought I said MLS is back.
Well, let's not let the facts get in the way of a good discussion
story
here.
Exactly. My point, but seriously though, Portland is presumptive. Going into this regular season, the best team, the team that beat, they just won MLS back. Allowing 2 goals late, that's not a good sign for Portland. I mean, is it just one game, Justin, or is there something we should really be concerned about? Because 2 goals in the 94th minute from Real Salt Lake and Giuseppe Rossi getting that 90th minute goal.
Yeah, considering they also lost the last game 3-0 to the Seattle Sounders, after being, I don't want to say like a relatively decent defensive team in the tournament, because they did give away a penalty in like every game but the final, I think, and conceded a goal in every game at the tournament. But like they are getting absolutely torn apart now in the regular season, which I think is kind of crazy. Maybe it just comes from the benefit of the other team not feeling the pressure of being in a knockout game. It's more of like a league game. We're fighting for points and not necessarily to stay alive. But yeah, I think even though it's only 2 games, they've conceded 7 goals in those 2 games, and it's kind of time to reassess what they're doing in the back.
I see Seattle got revenge against LAFC. You want to tell me more about that?
Jordan Morris and the Seattle Sounders took advantage of LAFC not having Edward Atuesta in midfield and being like one of the worst teams, I think, in MLS defensively. Like, you can say everything you want about their attacking in terms of goal scoring, whatever, but in terms of the defensive side, I absolutely hate Kenneth Vermeer as a goalkeeper. I said it in the first game of the season that I don't think he should be starting, even in MLS as a goalkeeper.
Jake, you popped up when Justin said that.
No, I know he doesn't like Kenneth Vermeer. I know. We've had this discussion. He didn't like Kenneth Vermeer, I think, as of like game 1 of MLS's back tournament.
He's not a good goalkeeper, and I think he showed it again in this game. Even though the first goal, I don't think any goalkeeper would have saved it. He just had a poor game after that too when it came to Jordan Morris's goals.
I know he's out for the season, but would you say they missed Tyler Miller? Would you say that the use of that international roster spot, had they just hung on to Tyler Miller, they would have been better served this season? Whether that, to use that to buff up the defending or the midfield, whatever it may be.
Absolutely. I mean, like, listen, even if Tyler Miller isn't considered an elite goalkeeper to MLS standards, at least he is still consistently average. Whereas Kenneth Vermeer is just night and day, depending on if he wants to be good or bad.
Damn, bro! No one asked you to kill the man on this podcast.
But it's true. I mean, you've seen, like, he just. I have not seen any game from him where I've been like, all right, yeah, I think this guy was a good signing. I don't think he's worth the international roster spot. I don't think he should be starting for a team of LAFC's caliber, even if they are poor defensively in general. But like, if you're gonna be that poor defensively, you at least need a goalkeeper who can competently save shots. And I don't think Vermeer is gonna provide that. But that's my piece on that game. And then, like we said, Toronto continues to clearly be the best team in Canada.
Wow, shocking.
A very low bar has been set there.
Oh,
a legit
goodness.
Question of the day.
At Unc Sam Soccer Pod.
At Unc Sam, we're going to go full circle in this podcast here. We talked about it earlier today. You mentioned goals from Busio and Aronson. And we talked about MLS players going to Europe. Busio or Aronson, who goes to Europe first, Justin?
Aronson. And the last recap of this weekend is Nashville got their first home win over Miami.
There you have it. I mean, they get to play Miami. I think everybody gets their first home win against Miami. So
I have to say, as we're closing this out, I like this segment. Justin's weekend MLS recap. I like this. We give commentary, Jake. We get to ask Justin some questions. We give our opinions.
I have a few drinks in me. I get a little rowdy and rambunctious. I start yelling at Justin about dumb stuff. And...
Take us home, Jake.
All right, you can follow the show on Twitter at UncSamSoccerPod. We always enjoy your feedback and comments. So, as always, continue to send them in. And don't forget, question of the day, who is the best team in MLS? As Steven said, we are, match day 4, I guess, now, or 7, or whatever the hell it is at this point. Probably too early to tell. So let us know
8.
on Twitter, whether it's Portland or LAFC or whomever it is.
8.
I wanted to really ask Justin this question. And so, Justin, in 15 seconds, Reggie Cannon to Boa Vista. Your thoughts?
I think he's going to have a solid first season in Portugal, and he will end up moving to Lille once they sell their right backs to some big European team.
There you have it. That's all I wanted. That's all you need to know. So yeah, stick around, stay tuned. We have our Liga Nos or Primeira Liga for Justin Sosa on the show. You can follow him at Justin Sosa 99.
Episode 300. Here we go.
Here we go. You can follow Steven John Rand at Steven John Rand. And you can follow myself at Jake Watroba. I believe I asked you all to send in your hate mail. I can't remember what it's for. I'm a little intoxicated. But if you send me it in, I'm sure I'll remember. For Steven and Justin, I am Jake. We will talk to you guys next time. Deuces.